If your testosterone is stuck right now at 300, 350, 400, 550, and you're still nowhere near the 800 plus territory, you might not actually have a testosterone problem. It might be more of a precursor problem, because testosterone is kind of the end result. It's really built upstream. And if the upstream area is weak, 800 plus testosterone down here is going to be almost impossible. So testosterone is more of an end result hormone. It's downstream. It's the end result, but it comes from the upstream hormones. If your upstream is weak, the early stages of things, ultimately it starts with cholesterol, but it builds from there. There's many other hormones that come from that. And if that upstream cascade of hormones is weak, then the downstream testosterone is going to be weak as well. This is why so many guys feel flat, lethargic, weak, no morning wood, no drive, that kind of thing. It starts up here, and in this video we're going to address that. Now, this is where modern life, and in particular stress, is truly the enemy, because the body only has so many resources to allocate towards hormones. When stress is low, you have more resources for the anabolic hormones. When stress is high, the body shifts its focus from anabolism to catabolism. It shifts from testosterone to stress hormones. In particular, we're talking about the adrenals here. And when stress levels are high, the body reallocates its focus. It can only convert certain hormones into one or two different derivatives, and we're going to get into that in just a second. What is this big one testosterone precursor that most of you guys are going to be deficient in, especially as you age, especially if you're over age 40? Potentially if you're over age 30 as well. The one precursor hormone that a lot of guys are deficient in is DHEA. So what is DHEA? It's produced in the adrenals, and so as you can probably imagine, it's going to be linked to things like adrenaline, cortisol, stuff like that. There is a direct trade-off between DHEA production and cortisol production. The more cortisol your adrenals are going to be producing, the less DHEA you're going to have, and vice versa. You want this balance. You want the more anabolic balance. You want the less catabolic balance. Most men have the catabolic balance. And so the cortisol's higher, the DHEA is lower. And then when the DHEA is lower, the testosterone is lower as well. And so what is really causing the adrenals to prioritize cortisol production over DHEA production is chronic stress, more than anything. Lack of sleep is going to be another big one, and the two are linked. If you can get the chronic stress down, improve your circadian rhythm, take the sleep stack that I've mentioned in the previous video, then you can rebalance things pretty quickly as well. Like, things can change very quickly, but really it's chronic stress. When your body thinks its survival is under threat, cortisol goes higher, and as a result, every single time, DHEA is going to go lower. And this is a balance that is harder and harder to nail as you get older. Now, let's go one level higher, or two levels higher. At the top, you've got cholesterol. Then you've got pregnenolone, which is often called like the master hormone. Pregnenolone can either convert into DHEA or cortisol. DHEA is the testosterone pathway. Cortisol is the stress pathway. When it's chronic, I'm not talking about acute cortisol, chronic cortisol. When stress is high, when chronic stress and low sleep, when you have that stressful environment, it's always going to lean towards the cortisol direction. When you reverse that, it's going to lean towards the DHEA and testosterone direction. Now, some guys do just take DHEA pills, and that can make a lot of sense if you're like 65, 67, or that kind of range. If you're in your 30s, all you need to do is reduce the chronic stress, and there's many, many ways to do that. Now, I've personally never had issues with DHEA. Mine have always been decent in a good range, but I have worked with a couple of guys with issues, and there is a common theme. So the guy will struggle with drive, motivation, things like that. Quite often he's got brain fog all the time. He can't focus, constantly stressed, burnout, that kind of vibe. There was one guy in particular working 7 days a week, training in the gym 5 to 6 days a week, in his 40s. His sleep wasn't good. He was psychologically and physiologically stressed to glory. And he was in his 40s as well, so he's not quite going to be as up for that level of stress as an 18-year-old will be. And his DHEA levels, sure enough, were just tanked. Absolutely tanked. Overtraining is such a huge one. If you're in the gym 6-7 days a week and your sleep isn't perfect, the DHEA is going to start tanking. But within a few weeks, his DHEA was on the rise, and sure enough, the testosterone was on the rise as well. And he started to feel better, and his brain started working properly. If your sleep is terrible and you're training 7 days a week, popping DHEA pills isn't going to reverse the root cause of why your DHEA was low in the first place. So let's get to the juicy bit. What causes the DHEA specifically to get lower, and what can you do about this, especially naturally? The first thing is that the older you get, the harder the DHEA gain gets, because it naturally declines over time, but especially if your adrenals are stressed. You can Google around for causes. In my experience, the biggest causes of low DHEA seem to be guys who are in the gym all the time and they work 7 days a week and they just never have any time off. The adrenals are constantly pumping out stress hormones all the damn time. And so over time, the DHEA gets really, really low. And then the testosterone, of course, goes low as well. That's the big one. So just give yourself time off would be my first thing. If you're abusing caffeine, that's going to ramp up the stress hormones. If you're going to use caffeine, like do it Monday to Thursday or Monday to Friday. And then, again, give yourself time off. Give your adrenals time to recover. Third big thing is chronic sleep deprivation, which tends to come about with guys who are working 7 days a week and overdoing the caffeine, but it's not necessarily the same thing. Your circadian rhythm is possibly the biggest factor for your sleep. Deep breath work in the evening, that's a really useful thing. And making sure your blood sugar doesn't drop too low overnight. Some guys will train at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. in the evening, and they'll have had more low quality carbs during the day because they're distracted in the office, and then they'll have like a lower carb meal in the evening because they think that's going to help with fat loss. But in reality, they just need to cut out the biscuits and the sweets during the day. But after training, they need more carbs to refuel and keep their blood sugar stable overnight, but they don't do that. And so after training, they have this low carb meal, and then the blood sugar is dropping too much in the early hours of the morning, and it ruins their sleep. So there's many different ways to look at the sleep. If you can get your sleep to 8 hours total, 1.5 to 2 hours REM, your adrenals are going to be far better equipped to handle stress, and it's going to be less problematic. It's going to be far more anabolic on so many levels. Just trust me on this. Sleep is so important. Now, this might sound like a contradiction. It is not a contradiction. Blood sugar stability overnight is extremely important. But if your insulin is chronically high because you're overdoing the carbs all the time, usually guys are overweight when this is happening or obese. There's a lot of fat going on usually, but messed up insulin will also downregulate DHEA. It tends to be quite stressful for the body. The DHEA/testosterone pathway tends to be downregulated, and that can be another cause of low DHEA. The biggest thing here is I wouldn't obsess over the end testosterone number. Make sure you get all the precursors checked, including DHEA. If your DHEA is too low, you probably need to reduce the stress hormones. Reducing the stress hormones will increase the DHEA, and then the downstream effects, and eventually testosterone as well. And this is assuming you're getting enough cholesterol to begin with. So make sure you're getting these things checked in the first place. I've spoken briefly about sleep here and how important that is. If you want more detail on a really good evening routine that will help you sleep better, check out this video. It will help you improve your total sleep and your REM sleep. I'll see you in that video.